one knows the secret of my Lord. He is invisible yet radiant, and I behold him. The world does not understand. They laugh and scorn, but I drink the nectar of his form. Alone I relish the joy he gives. Beyond the grasp of the world he lives. In the stillness of the night, my Lord comes and speaks to me. His form is light, his words are melody. Invisible to the world, in him I am free. My heart's Lord, my treasure, not seen yet, always near. He dances in my soul, his flute I always hear. Hidden from the world, in my heart he appears. Only the lover can see what is completely hidden from others. When you fall in love with the source, something that you know is the nourisher of all, is the very background of the painting of life. You know it isn't visible, it isn't obvious, it is not a part of people's experience. Hence, in that ignorance, they ridicule you, they laugh at you. You are drunk, you are intoxicated. Hence, you are moving in a certain way. Your landscape of reality itself is different. Your actions, your desires, what you do in the world is entirely determined by this relationship. For those who cannot see the object of your love, because they cannot find a cause, they don't know why you are like this, it's easy to attribute all that to some form of madness, just so that they don't have to put in the effort to understand what's happening. It's easy to dismiss something, especially if it is very different from what is normally accepted. This has been the way of the world. It has persecuted quest for truth. Individuals who have found some connection with reality, because they live in a world of ideas, beliefs, rules, restrictions. An individual who is free in love is an unacceptable proposition for them, because we only know love to which we are bound. How can love lead to freedom? Mira knows that no one knows her Lord. Here, Lord just means the source itself, not a manifestation of the mind. The one who exists above and beyond the mind. the very screen on which life is being projected. No one knows the secret of my Lord. He is invisible yet radiant, and I behold him. How can something be totally unreachable? You cannot see it. None of your senses can grasp it, and yet it is very real. It is not something hidden, it's not subtle. It's because something has to connect all your senses to give you an experience of life. It's because we have investigated into the nature of life independently, using each one of our senses separately. Our coherent understanding of life is theoretical. In actuality, each of our senses are independent as far as their ability to help us perceive life is concerned. But how can they give us a coherent feeling of life? This feeling of I amness. It seems like Mira is talking about some mysterious entity that is somewhere far away that only she can see. No, she's talking about something so simple. Because of its simplicity, it is hidden. She's talking about the feeling of I amness, the feeling of being. Well, I'm calling it a feeling because there's no other way to express it. It's not a feeling. It is not even an experience. There is no separation between you and that. You are that. I amness, how can it be an experience? Because it never comes and goes. Do you come and go? Your body comes and goes. Your thoughts come and go. People come and go. The world comes and goes. But what about you? Have you ever experienced your absence? That is how close you are to what she's talking about. Have you ever experienced a non-you? Why is this tricky to understand? It's tricky to understand because you have divided sleep into two things. Sleep is sleep. There are no different types of sleep. Sleep just means you are unconscious to something. If I am standing in front of you and I'm dreaming about something, I am not paying any attention to you, I'm lost somewhere, in that moment I am asleep to you. I am asleep to the experience of you. It does not matter if it is real for you. For me, that moment, that experience doesn't exist because I was somewhere else. This is the only definition of sleep. We have divided this sleep. We have divided this into consciousness and unconsciousness. In fact, sleep and consciousness are not connected at all. When you fall asleep, you don't become unconscious, which is a completely wrong way of looking at sleep. You are only unconscious to something. It's one thing to say, I am unconscious about something. Let's say when I fall asleep, I'm unconscious about my body. That makes sense. Yes, you are unconscious to the body. You cannot see what's happening to the body the way you can see from outside. with your senses. Internally, you still have the perception of the body, but externally, it is shut. Now, if you were to extend that and say sleep is unconsciousness, now that is a wrong statement. What you're saying is the light of consciousness is being switched off when you fall asleep. Merely the light has been moved. What it is shining on is the only thing that has changed. When you fall asleep, the light that is shining on your body, your senses, is simply tilted inward. It is still shining because it is your very nature. Unconsciousness is an impossibility. It is only for the observer there is such a phenomenon as consciousness and unconsciousness. For the one who's experiencing life, for the one who is, which you are, you know nothing but consciousness. When you divide sleep into consciousness and unconsciousness, you misunderstand it completely and you get trapped in it. Why is it so hard for you to understand that you are life itself? You are consciousness itself. It's because there's one very important part of your life, which is not a tiny part. For hours on end, you are unconscious about the body. You're not available to the experiences of the body. You're not walking, you're not talking, you're not creating things. All that you are familiar with, that you recognize as life. Now, because you are unavailable to the experiences of the body for so many hours each day, and you don't know how to know what that phenomenon of unconsciousness is, when you wake up, you simply conclude that I was unconscious or subconscious. It does not matter. We can use all kinds of words. Ultimately, what we are saying is it is possible for us to turn off this light of consciousness. But it is the affirmation of the scriptures, one of the most basic understandings of the nature of reality, of truth, is that it cannot be turned off. The light is always there. You can turn towards it, you can turn away from it. You can walk with your hands so close to your eyes that you're not able to see anything. You can block out even the sun just using your tiny, flimsy hands. It has nothing to do with the light. It has everything to do with what you have become attached to. When you don't divide sleep, you say, yes, I did go to bed. I know that I put my body at rest and I closed my eyes. That's where your understanding of sleep should begin and end. That is as much as you know about sleep. Everything you know about sleep after that moment is purely imagined. Because you're asleep. How can you wake up in the morning and say with certainty that, well, I went to bed and I woke up. Of course, my body is there. I was simply dreaming. Now, where is this understanding coming from? It is just inference. For hours together, you were gone. You don't even know where you were, what you were doing. And yet, you wake up and conclude in such simplistic terms that nothing much has changed. My body is still there, I just wake up in the morning. Sleep is such a deep phenomenon. It is such an existential phenomenon. It requires investigation, conscious understanding. If we are not willing to do all that, we can transform one of the most important, illuminating aspects of life into unconsciousness. Oh, sleep is just sleep. What if sleep is a form of wakefulness? What if you withdrawing from the world of senses is a way of withdrawing from being asleep in the body? What if there's an existential mechanism where you are waking up naturally to the true nature of your being, and that is what you experience as sleep? You know nothing about it because you reflect on sleep only when you are asleep. How can sleep investigate into the nature of sleep? As long as you are experiencing something through the body, you are asleep in the body. You're asleep to your true nature. So you only know two ends of this phenomenon of sleep, and you know it only by being asleep in the body. It's only when you wake up in the morning that you reflect on your dreams. You think about your sleep, or just before going to bed. Sleep is not a part of your experience when you're actually asleep. During these two moments of so-called wakefulness, which is basically being fully asleep in the body, you have some theory of what sleep might be. What Mira is talking about is your true being, that light of awareness, that light of consciousness, which is the very source, which is what you're searching for. That is always there. It is you. You know nothing about it. It is a secret. Your own life, your own aliveness is a complete mystery to you because you have divided this phenomenon of sleep, which is basically a process of waking up, into consciousness and unconsciousness. The moment you introduce a completely imaginary concept called unconsciousness, you altogether misunderstand the nature of your being. Unconsciousness and the self, which is consciousness itself, are two entirely different things. How can you see yourself as the self, the supreme self, the conscious being, when you have accepted that it is possible for you to become unconscious? You have accepted unconsciousness as a part of your reality because you are only seeing it through that entity that you are asleep in, that is the body. As long as you are explaining everything through the body, through the physicality, this thing will be hidden.